Hey everyone, welcome back to K-Korner, the channel where we dive into the wild world of entitled people and their unbelievable stories. Hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's go. So, I was at my neighborhood bullseye store looking around for some root beer and minding my own business like most normal people do. The aisle was empty, aside from myself. And I was listening to being scared on YouTube with some small earbuds. I couldn't hear what was going on around me. I'm also very visibly disabled. My hands and face are full of tumors from neurofibromatosis. They aren't gigantic, but they are there. Because of this, my central nervous system is totally shot. Simple tasks like washing my hands can sometimes cause excruciating pain. And because of this, I really don't like to be randomly touched unless I know the touch is coming. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a 40-ish looking woman tapping her high heel in my direction. I ignore her as she's not my problem to deal with and she's being rude. I suddenly feel a tug on my ear and my earbud falls to the floor and I see her foot stomp on it. I am pissed. She's trying to pull me to a standing position by my ear, and with a reflex I take a swing backwards and connect with her face. This probably hurt me a lot more than it hurt her due to the tumors in my fingers. Karen, you hit me. I don't even let her finish her sentence. Me, don't effing touch me. You just assaulted me and broke my property and you're going to replace it. Karen, the hell I am. I just wanted the laundry detergent location and you just hit me. As I turn to face her, she notices the tumors on my face and starts screaming where someone in the deepest pit of hell would hear her. Karen, oh my God, this man has monkeypox and isn't wearing a mask. Security, police, anyone help. There is noticeable swelling under her right eye at this point, and a manager and a security guard approaches. Karen, this employee just punched me in the face. All I wanted was to know where the laundry detergent is. Manager takes one look at me and starts to ask, Sir, who is your direct sub? Me. Are you really about to ask me if I work here? Take a close look at me, dude. He kind of squints looking at my face, clearly noticing the tumors. K. See he has monkeypox? Sir, you really should be wearing a mask. Me. No. I am disabled. These things on my face are tumors and this woman just assaulted me and broke my personal property. I very obviously don't work here. Look at my shirt. I was wearing a Blackpool Combat Club shirt with the matching hoodie. Get the police here, now. The manager goes white as a ghost. The security guard is already on the radio with the local PD at this point, and I know I better calm down and let cooler heads prevail here because I don't want to go to jail. When the police arrive, I give them my version of the events. I'm sure to let the cop know I'm disabled, he even empathizes with me. And Karen gives hers, and one of the officers goes and watches the security tape with the security guard. And they come back after a few minutes, and the two cops talk to each other out of earshot for a few minutes before they come back. Cop 1, sir, would you like to press charges? What? He hit him. Cop 2, no, I saw the video. You attacked this man who is very obviously another customer and clearly disabled. What the hell is the matter with you? Karen didn't really seem to have an answer as the reality of what she did seemed to sink in. Me. Yes, I'd like to press full charges. So Karen gets a nice pair of handcuffs, and that was that. I'll probably have to go to court. For those wondering, I was wearing Raycon so they won't be replaced unless I take her to civil court. But for my sanity, I'll just eat the cost and replace them myself. The manager did apologize for asking, and that was enough for me. I won't hold a grudge against the guy for it. The cop also gave me his card and told me to call him if I need anything on the case. Did get my root beer, but I ordered from Bevmo instead. This story came from my friend's husband, Adam. And yes, this is Belle's husband. Belle's my retired Army officer friend. Adam worked as a police officer from the late 90s, early 10s until being injured in the line of duty. One December evening, Adam was finishing up his shift when Belle, who he was dating at the time, called him asking if he could pick up a couple of last-minute things for a Christmas party. Since the Mart of Walls is about a mile away from the station, Adam decides to go there. He's wearing a thick, dark blue coat over his uniform, complete with vest, belt, and gear, including his sidearm, radio, handcuffs, and baton. He's in the dairy section getting some cream when he heard a woman say in a low voice, "Excuse me." Adam turns to look. There's a young woman, maybe college age, dressed in jeans, a thick coat, and heavily pregnant. Definitely not the Korean type. Can you please help me get a TV from the back? Adam is about to use the classic "I don't work here" lady line when he sees the fear in her eyes. Now on high alert, he leans close to her and whispers what happened. "I'm scared of my husband. He just shot the officer who pulled us over." Adam looks up and sees this strung-out looking man who looks like he hasn't showered in days and watching them with, as Adam recounted, shark eyes. Thinking fast, Adam says loud enough for the man to hear, "I'm more than happy to help you, ma'am. Let me page the back and we'll get it in a minute." Hang tight, right? Using his cell phone, which wasn't as common as it is now, he texted a fellow officer who was still on duty, asking her if an officer got shot. When she confirmed it and asked what was going on, he told her what was going on, to alert the manager and to send a couple of units to the store. She responded to him that the units were on the way. The manager had been alerted and to hang tight. Once he received her text, he said it's on its way to the front. "I'll personally escort you there so the manager knows who it belongs to." So he leads the family to the front and makes eye contact with the manager. The manager, who recognizes Adam from previous excursions, comes over. Adam, keeping up the charade, says to the manager boss, "I think it'd be good to get the lady off her feet for a little bit while we get the car loaded," he said with a meaningful look. "It's going to take several minutes anyway." The manager nods and says, "Of course, come with me, Mom. My office is just this way." Once the lady and the manager were safely away, Adam and the man head out to the parking lot. Just then, Adam spots the officers getting out of their cars and nods at them. The takedown wasn't as dramatic as you'd expect it to be. They recognized him and arrested him as soon as several outstanding warrants for his arrest were revealed. The officer the man had attacked survived his injuries, and the man got a nice long prison sentence for several charges, including attempted murder. The lady filed for divorce and, with Adam and Belle's help, was able to get home to her family. Last Adam heard, she was doing well. When she heard the story, Belle, as she put it to me, knew I met the man I was going to marry someday. So, you won't believe the craziness that went down on the bus yesterday? Picture this. I'm just chilling, headphones in, talking to my primo in Spanish. We're catching up, shooting the breeze about the latest, you know? Anyway, this Karen, the epitome of "I want to speak to the manager" vibes, is eyeballing me from the moment I step on the bus. Like, "Lady, I just want to get home without any drama. You feel me?" But nah, she's on a mission. I slide into an empty seat, still chatting away in Spanish. It's no big deal. People do it all the time. But Karen, she's having none of it. She shushes me like we're in a dang library. I give her the side eye, but I keep my cool, you know. No need to start World War III over a phone call. Then, out of the blue, she snatched my phone. Can you believe it? I'm thinking, what the actual heck? My primo's still on the line, probably wondering if I got eaten by a chupacabra or something. But Karen doesn't care. She's on a power trip. She starts ranting about how this is America, and we should all speak English. Like, "Lady, calm down. I'm fluent in both English and Spanish. I can throw some Spanglish at you if that makes you happy." But no, Karen's not having it. She's screeching about how I'm ruining her precious American experience. But before I can even blink, she whips out her elbow like she's auditioning for the WWA and cracks it right into my rib. "Oh, I'm talking major ouchies, my dudes." Now, I ain't one to start drama, but this lady just crossed the line. I look at her like, "What the actual F, Karen?" She's huffing and puffing like she's allergic to Spanish or something. I said, "Why did you do that for?" The whole bus goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. And let me tell you, that's when things got spicy. Out of nowhere, this dude in a snapback stands up and he's like, "Yo, you can't just be elbow dropping people because you don't like their language." That's not how we roll here. It's like the hero of the bus never knew it needed. Karen tries to play the victim, like she's the star of her own telenovela, but nobody's buying it. The bus driver is looking at her in the rearview mirror like, "You done messed up now, Karen." She starts babbling about how it's her right to speak English or some nonsense. I'm just nursing my rib, thinking, "Lady, I'm not trying to steal your English muffin recipe. I'm just chatting with my amigos." And then, oh boy, a whole chorus of people starts piping up. It's like the United Nations of bus riders, all saying, "Nah, Karen, not today." The vibe on that bus went from awkward to a full-blown protest. People were recording, others were telling her off, and a couple of folks were legit chanting, "Karen, go home." Finally, the bus driver's had enough. He radios for the cops. Karen's face goes from anger to pure panic. She's realizing that her little power trip is about to land her in the slammer. The police show up, and Karen's still trying to argue her case. But the bus is like a united front at this point. We're all telling the cops how she snatched my phone, started a scene, and even laid hands on me. Homegirl's still trying to argue her case, but the law ain't buying it. The whole bus cheers as she gets cuffed, and someone yells, "Adios, Korean." It was like the end of a movie where the villain finally gets what's coming. I ended up giving my statement to the police, feeling like a witness in some crazy courtroom drama. But you know what? Justice was served. The bus became a symbol of unity against Karen-esque shenanigans. I swear, it was like a movie script, but with more sass and fewer explosions. So I work in college dorms in a sort of generic first response role. We do a bit of everything, mostly security, but also medical, fire, psycha. It's a weird and often quite tough job, but quite rewarding. These dorms are kind of like a gated community a couple miles away from the main campus. At the top of this village, there's a hub where all the staff are based. It also serves as a venue for events and has some facilities for the students, catering, gym, etc., as well as a few meeting facilities in the staff area which any department in the college can book out if they so wish. Between the staff parking spots and the back doors, there are also disabled parking spaces. Now, one day I was coming in for my 10-hour night shift, and to my dismay, I found that all the staff parking spots were occupied, which basically never happened. But I knew that the HR department had a big problem there that afternoon, in the meeting facilities I mentioned, so I figured out what was going on. And though it's not technically against the parking policy, they are college staff after all. Usually staff who don't actually work in the building are expected to park in the visitor parking bays, not the staff parking. So I had a problem. It was 10 minutes till the start of my shift. I'm not allowed to use the student car parks. What about the visitor parking? Well, that gets locked up overnight until after my shift ends. If I parked there, then in the morning, I'd have to go unlock the visitor parking, bring the key back, leave, and one of my day shift colleagues would have to go lock it back up. My only other option was to park down the hill, but then by the time I got there and walked back up, I'd be late for my shift and miss the handover. You see where this is going. I want to make it clear that I would never normally park in a disabled bay. It's generally a scummy thing to do. I'm disabled myself, but not in a way that entitles me to use disabled parking. However, there's a few things to note here. Nobody ever uses those bays unless we have a disabled person coming in for an event, because the back door is key card access only, and there's no bell, so it's of little use to students or members of the public, unless they've made a prior arrangement to be let in. There weren't any events scheduled that night, and the chances of someone disabled randomly deciding they need to park at the back of the hub unannounced is negligible. Never mind 3 of them. Remember, there's 3 bays in total. Besides, in the middle of the night, they could just park next to it at the side of the road because there's about as much traffic there at night as on Route 50. So I decided I'd park in one of the disabled bays, the one farthest from the door, next to the staff spaces. Due to the long and unsociable hours, I get to take breaks liberally as long as it doesn't interfere with anything. In the extremely unlikely event that more than 2 disabled people had called in to park and access the building, which I'd find out about during handover, I just take a break right after starting, drive my car away down the hill, and walk back up. I go in, get the handover, and as expected, no one is expected to come in. I was the supervisor for that shift. Our shift patterns are rotating, and the longest in service is the supervisor. So I set up my colleagues for the shift, log on, set up the cameras the way I want them, read my emails, turn on my radio, yada yada. After a while, I get one of the guys, Phil, to cover the cameras so I can go tell a resident he's getting disciplined for vandalism. I then have one of those golden sitcom moments where I open the office door right before someone is about to knock on it. I recognize her immediately. She's the dean of facilities. We'll call her Karen. Now, we're not in the facilities section. We're in the auxiliary services section. So, this lady is not my boss in any capacity. She is, however, far higher up the food chain than me, so it's this awkward situation where unless I have a great reason not to, I still have to bow down to her, or I'll get called into HR for insubordination, especially since the building we're in is technically operated by the facilities section. Some more context. Karen is one of the most hated figures among low-level staff in the entire college. Your classic power trip witch. You can practically see the perverse happiness in her eyes whenever she talks down to anyone on a lower salary than her, which is all the time, and she's pulled no end of downright evil stuff in her many years with the institution. So a startled Karen practically pushes me back into the office. It turns out she was attending whatever event the HR department had on in the building that afternoon, and she was one of the people parked in the staff spaces out back. Now, she doesn't have an office in the building, so by convention she should be parking in the visitor spaces. But again, that's not technically in the policy. Anyway, she saw my car parked in the disabled bay on her way back to her car. She knows who I am. We've had numerous, always unpleasant, interactions in the past, and she saw my name on the staff sticker on my windshield. Karen, where do you get off thinking you can park in the disabled bay? Me, well, nobody uses those. Karen, oh what, so you think you're above the rules just because it's you who enforces them? Me, look, it's no big deal. I'll go move the car. Karen, oh no, not on college's time you don't. Me, I'll take it off my break. Karen, nope. Breaks are for relaxation. Moving your car is not relaxing. Me, well then what do you want me to do? Karen, I want you to issue yourself the standard $70 fine. See what I mean about the power glee? Me, are you serious? Karen, absolutely. You need to learn that you don't make the rules. You just enforce them. At this point, I stare at her in disbelief. Now, I have a short fuse at the best of times, and I really want to yell bloody murder at her, but I value my job, so I swallow my pride and go write myself a ticket. More context there, we're essentially subcontracted by the city to do the parking and traffic enforcement for all roads and parking on college land, so the authority behind these tickets is the city, not the college. I know if I go talk to that vandal student now, I'll just let off steam at the kid unfairly, when it already wasn't going to be a pleasant talking. 2, and I know that sitting and staring at the cameras would just make me seethe, so I go restock the staff kitchen, then talk to the kid, and after that I get back to the office. Bear in mind that Phil, my buddy who I put on the cameras, witnessed the whole thing. Is the witch still here? I ask. She's just on her way out now, he says, pointing at one of the cameras. Followed by, huh? That's weird. She's leaving through the front. Karen regularly comes here to use the gym at the end of the workday. It's free for students and staff. That's presumably what she was doing today too, seeing as it's now been a good 45 minutes since she humiliated me. When she does that, she takes a cab home, because she lives at the opposite end of the city and traffic is a nightmare at this time in the evening. And we all know it's a million times less awful being stuck in traffic if it isn't you who's driving. She then takes a cab back in the next morning to pick up her car and drive to the main campus. It's now that I have made a beautiful realization. I pull up the parking policy, scroll through it, and there it is, in delicious bold lettering. It is not permissible for members of staff to leave their cars parked in a staff parking area during non-working hours. It then lists a few exceptions, mainly breaks and stuff like that, none of which apply to Karen. So I'm about to write a ticket when I have an even better idea. See, our cameras are pretty sassy. About 6 years ago, all the cameras that monitor the roadways were updated to plate recognition cameras by the city. So now on top of 40 days of saved camera footage, we also have the plate log, which has, so far, been kept indefinitely and can be used to figure out when a car entered the compound and when a car left, since we only have 3 entry-exit roads. I explained my plan to Phil. He has absolutely no reservations about doing me a solid and spending time going back through the plate log system to see how many times Karen has left her car parked here overnight. 4 hours later, and he's assembled all the dates. Over the past 4 years, and however many months, weeks and days since the plate system came online, Karen has left her car overnight on a staggering 585. Yes, 585 separate occasions. So I log into the city's Find Portal software. Yep, that's actually what it's called. You can only write tickets for ongoing momentane violations. If you spot something using auxiliary systems like cameras or what have you after the fact, you need to issue a fine by mail. I put in her office address and start entering all 585 dates, times, and copy and paste the reference to the exact part of the parking policy, as well as the city statute that gives this policy the force of law for each single one. The result is a thing of beauty, spanning 13 pages and totaling $40,950. At this point, all the guys are back in the office, so I call them around knowing they'll all enjoy this almost as much as me. When I press log and print, I'm hit with a warning I've never seen before. The fine you are about to issue exceeds $10,000. Are you sure you wish to proceed? Everyone is dumbstruck. I start laughing, then Phil, and then everyone else. It's glorious. I print it, stuff it in a windowed, prepaid city envelope, and put it in the external mail. The city doesn't allow us to use the internal mail nor hand-deliver fines. I guess it's for paper trail reasons. The cherry on top is, I then get to also issue a ticket and put it under her windshield because, of course, she's also there that night. Of course, the next time I come into work after she receives this, she's waiting for me in the office. Karen, what the hell? Do you really think this is gonna fly? Me, with puppy dog eyes? What do you mean? Karen, the ticket. The fines. Do you really think this will fly? Me, rules are rules, Karen. Karen, you know as well as I do that that's never actually been done here. Name. Well, Karen, I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. Exit Karen, stage right. Now there's more to this, some good, some bad. I'll start with the bad. Karen ended up suing. I had to go to court on my day off. The silver lining was, I was theoretically there representing the city, and so I wasn't being sued personally and had the city attorney. The court ended up reducing the fine to $10,000, which was apparently the city's maximum for post facto fines issued at one time. I guess that's why the warning was there. But Karen had sued to get the fine dismissed entirely, so it was still a victory, kind. She also tried to take it up with HR, but the Dean of Auxiliary Services also hates her, and he stuck up for me to HR, so that went nowhere. The best thing, though. This year, I was appointed to the Auxiliary Services Policy Review Board. Last week, I managed to get the parking policy amended. It now says that if staff visit a building other than where their office is, unless they are teaching a class, they need to use visitor parking if there are fewer than 20 staff parking bays at the building, and there are empty visitor bays. So, starting in June, Karen won't be allowed to park in the staff spots at all. And, ironically, it turns out I now do, in fact, make the rules. Enjoying the stories yet? If you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. This story takes place in a major city in Germany. My sister-in-law, 55, and her lazy-ass husband, 57, are constantly broke and keep on whining about it. For more than 10 years, they have been coming crawling to family with sob stories and expecting their bills to be paid. Their family debts are already in the six figures. My sister-in-law is a physiotherapist, and her husband is someone who, because of his skin color and age, thinks he doesn't have to apply for a job because he wouldn't get one anyway. When asked why she or her husband wouldn't work, my sister-in-law always replies that she has back pain and her husband has bad knees, is over 50 and black, and there are no jobs for them. Which is absolutely not true, as I was personally working in a job agency at the time and suggested lots of suitable jobs to him, which he didn't apply for because the hourly wage of 20 euros an hour was supposedly too low. Since this resulted in a full-time monthly salary of 3,200 euros before tax, there was no argument for getting up from the couch for him. Well, it's summer. My sister-in-law's birthday is coming up. We're having a family barbecue together. My sister-in-law calls us all together and makes a speech. She would like to buy a car and wants 8,000 euros for it. And then another 3,000 euros for a luxury electric massage mat. The money would also be paid back this time. We ask her why she needs a car and how she would pay for the maintenance, taxes, gas, and repair costs for the car. My entitled sister-in-law, my husband is American and he doesn't want to travel by public transportation and is used to driving. And my husband needs the car to visit his friends, as traveling by public transport was unbearable for him, and he doesn't feel comfortable. In response to the further question of how they were going to finance the car outside of the purchase costs, without money and jobs, my sister-in-law got snippy and started insulting us all. We were all mean to her and just wanted to put her down with our questions and show her that she was less than us and that she had offered to pay the money back. It ends with my entitled sister-in-law bursting into tears and running into the house. Since I had to go into the house myself, I don't hear my sister-in-law crying as I expected, but talking on the phone to her husband, who wasn't at the barbecue. I can hear my sister-in-law complaining to him that all of us are tormenting her, patronizing her, and talking down to her. My sister-in-law comes back into the garden with a smug smile, puts her phone on speaker and holds it out to us. My brother-in-law yells, "Just watch it. I'm gonna you all up, you a hole." Just talk shit about me behind my back and make my wife cry. I hate you all. You all suck and I'll F you up. My sister-in-law is there the whole time with a satisfied grin. A while later, it's my sister-in-law's birthday and we, the doormats we were back then, want to fulfill my sister-in-law's heart's desire. A car by giving her a car. Sharing deal of 100 euros. Of course, no good deed goes unpunished. We give her the 100 euro deposit, which she can then use. It's in her name and only she is insured. We explain everything to her. She understands and agrees to abide by the contract. She also promises that she will pay the costs incurred from her account once the 100 euros have been debited. Everything is fine. Of course, my sister-in-law lied and didn't change the account details and, of course, let her deadbeat husband drive. Within a few months, the bill was amounting to 2,000 euros. When I noticed this gap in our account, I immediately canceled access to our account and confronted my sister-in-law. She ignores me, didn't respond to calls, texts, or emails, but complains to my husband, her brother, about me, that his mean and nasty wife, who doesn't begrudge them, the poor people, their car. Sister-in-law, I haven't been able to sleep for 3 nights because your wife, dear brother, wants her money back. That's so outrageous. Her pa's husband replies to my email a few weeks later and calls me a B-word and a witch that he's going to beat me up so that I finally shut up and stop nagging him and his wife about money. I apparently also need therapeutic help because I've gone crazy. He keeps threatening me that I'll soon get a few punches if I don't finally shut up. It goes so far that this aggressor turns up outside our house and tries to intercept and intimidate me so that I stay quiet. Did I mention that this pose has already had several charges in court cases for violent confrontations? I reported him to the police, only to have the rest of the family against me, berating me as to why I would mess with him. Don't poke the bear. I'm told that I'm to blame for the whole mess and that me and my husband have enough money and should let the poor relative have it. My Mile even goes so far as to that she would go begging from the family so that we greedy people would get our money back so that we would finally stop annoying everyone. Of course, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law don't pay anything back, nor do they apologize. Nothing. They are smear campaigning us full throttle. My husband's family roll their eyes at me when I bring up the subject and keep on telling me that it's my own fault and that I overreacted with my complaint. I'm even told that my reaction was extremely over the top and that I am the 8. Rebuke from the family-in-law from left, right, above and below. It ends with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law turning up at my father-in-law's birthday party a couple of months later and making a scene saying that they are mistreated and bullied in the family and that we would all soon see where that would lead to. Again, the famous threats from my Poe's brother-in-law. My brother-in-law attacks all the men in the family at this event and threatens to hit them and tries to provoke my husband in particular to get into a fight with him. My Pa's brother-in-law has no success with this. My Pa's brother-in-law is such a sucker that he only pushes my other brother-in-law's wife to the floor because he doesn't dare to approach men. Such a loser. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law shouts at me that I can be held personally responsible for the fact that the family is now destroyed and everything is in shambles. She mockingly asks me if I'm proud of my destructive work. My brother-in-law storms up to me shortly afterwards and shouts that he would do anything to protect his family and will smash my face in. I call the police. When the police siren is heard, brother-in-law and sister-in-law flee the scene. Meanwhile, after 3 long years, we got the money back from my Mile, as she had condescendingly offered to go begging so that we would stop nagging about the money. She was grumbling, kicking, and screaming, but we now have the stolen money back from her. She saved her grown-up, unreliable daughter's butt. My thieving sister-in-law recently came scratching at our door again to announce that she had severe depression because of the way we had treated her. I wonder, could it rather be that she has a shitty, lazy husband who is on her back and picks fights with everyone he meets? Apparently, there was so much negativity coming from me personally that she needed to go to a special clinic to get treatment for her depression. I told her to get lost and that she should tell her sob stories to someone else. My husband also told her that he no longer had time for her. I can understand that the family-in-law felt it was ridiculous and not worth mentioning that we had been robbed of 2,000 euros. Previously, My sister-in-law had stolen a whopping 20,000 euros from her own daughter. It was her daughter's college fund. When the daughter asked her mother where the money was, she just shrugged her shoulders and said, "I had bills to pay." I am now full NC with the in-laws. My husband is VLC. I'm finally free of those pests. Unfortunately, I have to say that my husband's family, with the exception of him, are rubbish. They cover up intra-family thefts, tolerate verbal, physical, and emotional violence, and practice perpetrator-victim reversal. I will never sit down at the same table with them ever again. So I'm not sure if this goes here. This story is only minimally about me, and I'm barely connected. Just let me know if I should post elsewhere. So a few months back, I found my cat Gigi on the street. He was so young, maybe a couple months old, so I felt as if I couldn't just leave him there. He also looked extremely malnourished, and it was so heartbreaking to see. Just in case he was an escaped kitten, I posted flyers all over the neighborhood and on lost pet forums for my area. Absolutely no one contacted me, so I took him to the vet and registered him as my pet, vaccinated, chipped, and neutered when he was old enough. When I first found him, I thought he was a Russian blue. He looked exactly like them down to the face shape and eye color. As he got older, the stripes he has never faded like breeders said they would, so I abandoned the idea that he is a Russian blue. Besides, it's downright preposterous that an expensive breed of cat would be abandoned like that, right? Out of curiosity, even though he's legally my cat now, I decided to check the Neighborhood Watch and Lost Pete forum. That's when I found a post from one of my neighbors going absolutely nuclear on another neighbor, exposing her and her business. I'll call the nuclear neighbor Daisy and the total waste of air Karen. From what I read on Daisy's post, she feeds the local strays. There's one in particular, a tabby, that like to hang out in her lawn. Her next-door neighbor, Karen, is a cat breeder, specifically for Russian blue cats. Karen hates Daisy because she feeds the strays and was worried about them ruining her business. One day, Daisy hears screaming coming from Karen's house, sounds of objects being thrown, general commotion. She stepped outside, ready to call the police, believing it to be a domestic disturbance. Instead, she watched Karen chase the tabby out of her house, smacking it with a broom and trying to kill it. They get into an argument which prompts Daisy to write about it for the first time on the Neighborhood Watch. About 4 or 5 months later, there's more disturbance at Karen's house. Yelling, screaming, bumping around. Once again, Daisy steps outside to see if they need help and sees Karen angrily stomping out of her house with a box. She walks down the street a bit and Daisy discreetly follows her. Karen reaches the tiny playground in the neighborhood and throws the box into the bushes. Daisy goes to the bush and sees a bunch of kittens in the box, around the box and in the bushes. She tries to grab them all, but a couple run off. She can't catch them. Daisy is pissed, brings the kittens that she managed to catch home, and goes to confront Karen. Karen is also mad at her, blaming Daisy's feeding of the strays for losing her thousands of dollars. The tabby that hangs out around the house apparently got Karen's cat pregnant, and she couldn't sell the kittens because they're not purebred, and it's obvious. After their argument, Daisy takes the kittens to the vet and most have injuries, broken tails, injured ribs, etc. Once Daisy got home, she reported Karen for animal abuse, and then started to expose Karen online. Everywhere she could, Daisy told people not to buy from Karen, even going onto her breeder page and exposing what she did to the kitten. From what she knows, Karen completely lost her business. Despite this, every month Daisy will post about Karen and warn people not to buy from her just in case. Now I'm not sure if Gigi is a part of the kittens that came from that. He could very well be just a gray tabby from strays, but the timeline matches up. I'm not sure if Karen is or is going to face legal charges for the abuse she did to those kittens, but I sure damn hope so. Just for a bit of background, 24 male. I'm an Australian-born Chinese, only child of my parents, 55 female and 64 male, are Chinese migrants. I've been with my girlfriend, 19 female, for 6 months now, and we love each other so much. Recently, I've been having troubles with my girlfriend because of the problems I have with my relationship with my parents. My girlfriend is originally from Canada, but she came here to Sydney to study, and she is staying here to study for the next 3 years. She says that she might consider moving back to Canada if she cannot sustain living here since she has more opportunities for her there. I was pretty willing to move there with her after 3 years if things went well still. However, my Asian parents both expressed their disapproval of me migrating to Canada. They said they were tolerant of other things, but this was the only thing they didn't want me to do. I discussed options for them, but they wouldn't budge on it, and so when I told my girlfriend about it, she felt upset since she thinks I'd choose them over her. This problem led to her being more distant from me, and I could see that she was disappointed about it. I, on the other hand, am willing to move out with her, however, I still feel slight guilt about leaving my parents behind. They told me one of the main reasons they didn't want me to move out was because they would have no one to take care of them if they had any illness or injuries as they got older. They've also said things like, "We've raised you for 24 years, and now you want to leave after everything we've done for you and taken care of you and stuff." Fast forward to today, and I'm now planning on moving out with my girlfriend to her place in Sydney for a bit, maybe at least 3 months. I will be moving my stuff over quietly overnight and plan to leave on Monday and stay over at hers. I will leave a note behind saying that I am moving out and to only contact me if there is an emergency. But a part of me still feels that guilt of leaving them behind right now. They've still been taking care of me, well, more so my mom, who always treats me well even to this day. She would ask me what's wrong and give her advice on things as well. I want to know if anyone else has faced something similar to this and what exactly I should do. Am I doing the right thing here, or are there other options I can consider? I love my girlfriend so much, but my relationship with my parents has been affecting ours too much. I just feel guilt over leaving my parents, I guess mostly for my mom, since she's still been so caring to me up until this day. I would love some advice on how I should approach this. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share your own experiences, opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more epic tales.